Okay guys, so this episode is going to be on replacing a rag joint, the turn signal combination switch, and installing a new steering wheel on a 1977 Ford F350 dually standard transmission. Standard transmission and automatic transmission are different on the turn signal switch, and I'd just like you to know that right away. I kind of like to create these in help videos so that you can just get to the source to help you resolve your problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this a three-parter, and I will put some markers in the video somewhere around here that will indicate where the rag joint is, which would be first, and then second is going to be the turn signal combination switch, and then of course the steering wheel will be after that. Unfortunately, there's a couple of parts that intermingle with each other, such as the steering wheel and the turn signal combo switch, but bear with me. Stay tuned. Like I say, if you're just after one specific part, skip forward to those markers that I let you know in the video, and yeah, great. Thanks for watching, and please, if you like, click the like button, or if you dislike, I guess that too. And if you find it interesting or my content to be useful for you, please subscribe. Okay, thanks folks, enjoy. Okay guys, 1977 Ford F350 rag joint, and yeah, so I guess we're going to show how to replace one. Alright, on the bottom here there is a I believe it's going to be a 7/16 bolt, and it's a 12-point head on that. And then as we look further up, it's going to be two bolts, I believe they're a 1/2-inch nut. That's what holds the joint itself in, and the reason that I'm replacing this, I'll show you. If you look in here, you see that rubber? That's in two pieces there, and that don't quite cut it. So I saw some videos on this particular truck, well, excuse me, on rag joints for Fords, but it was in the older model Ford trucks, and they're a little bit different than this from what I'm seeing. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to undo that one bolt with the 12-point 7/16 and the two nuts there for the joint itself, which is going to be this one and then these two here. But obviously the column isn't, there's more than likely not going to be enough room to get that thing out of there. So up underneath the dash here, I got these 4 bolts. It looks like they're going to be a 3/8. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I hope you can see that okay. And that's the shielding that holds the column. And then there's going to be some Phillips head screws. Let me get you there. Right here. 2 of those. I'll take those out, and this cover should come off, I will hope. And then there should be some adjusting slot nuts under here, and once I get that off, I'll show you. We should be able to just loosen those and slide that column back enough to get to what we need to do. We'll see. This is my lovely assistant that's going to help me through this project. I'm using a ratchet strap through the door and attach to the steering wheel. Back in the old towing days, we either used to use a fan belt for such things to hold the steering while we towed it from the rear, or I can recall many times using my belt off of my pants. So I don't have anybody here to help me, so this is going to be my lovely assistant. Okay, so I've undone those upper nuts with the steering wheel locked with that binder or that tie down that you've seen there. So I leveled the steering wheel to a straight and steering position, tied down the steering wheel, and then I removed the nuts. I did have to retain these backing nuts here so it wouldn't spin inside there. Now I am going to undo that 12.7/16 bolt, but unfortunately it's on the bottom now, so I'm going to have to rotate that steering wheel upside down 180 degrees, and then we'll get that out. Okay, so you can see I've turned the steering wheel back right side up and I've got it loose, and we're ready to pull that joint out. Like I say, I'm sure it's not going to come out unless I slide that shaft back, so we're going to get to that next. Well, I got good news. I found my missing bulb in the bottom of the pan. Anyway, there's the pan. Those are the clips that hold it on the back. And like I say, you just undo those two screws on the bottom, and then it just slides down. Okay, so now I think that we can probably just loosen up these two sliding bolts right there and slide it back far enough to where we can work with it without having to take it out. But if we have to take it out, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Okay. Alright, just like that. I slid it back, and I've got one nut tight, or one bolt tight. Hopefully that should be enough. Let's go see what we got. Yeah. I think that'll do it. Let's see if it'll come out. I'm gonna have to set you down though. Okay. There you go. She's out. And then, well, that's why we changed it, obviously. So, multiple pieces there. It was definitely on the safety catches. That's what these things are right here. They're safety catches that go in between those slots right there. Those slots. That way when it breaks you don't get yourself killed. Alright, now there is one thing that happened when I was disassembling this. Now I just wiggled that out with a couple of screwdrivers after I removed the bolt. Now you do have to remove the bolt. There's an indentation where the bolt goes through, right there on that shaft right there. So yeah, you will definitely be taking that bolt out, which I knew and I did, but there's a little rust in there and such, so I did have to wiggle it out with a couple of screwdrivers. But unfortunately the steering wheel decided to turn right side up on me, so before I reassemble I'm going to have to turn the wheel upside down, tie it down, and then I'll be able to reassemble it. And we're going to use a different assistance this time. I'll show you another way that we used to tie these wheels down. And there you go. Meet my friend Safety Belt, my other assistant. And that's the way we used to do it in the towing days as well. Unfortunately, some of the days we were towing, we didn't have safety belts. But that's still not as good as the cord. You got extra play going on that's capable of each side of the steering wheel. Whereas if you tie it down over here on this side and to the door, it would have kept you a lot more stable. But in this particular case, it's going to work out good for us. All we got to do is hold the steering wheel upside down. Well, in my particular case, I wasn't able to get enough room, so I went ahead and took the bolts out, let the steering wheel sit on the seat, pulled it back a little bit further. Now I got the rag joint set up in there. I'm going to go ahead and set the column back on it, and then we'll give it a push and it should go. Yeah, just in case you didn't see that, get you in there a better view. New camera from here, folks. I'm doing left cam for you here. Alright. Okay, folks, so there you have it. You might have missed a little bit while I was doing it. I got distracted with the neighbor. He had a problem I had to help him fix. But we're back at it. The joint's in. Went ahead and put the steering wheel, or the column, back together. And I showed you how I took that apart, so should be a no-brainer. Kind of got this, I don't know, it feels pretty good actually for an old Ford. I think that's pretty good play, but I think we're going to go ahead and maybe do an adjustment on that gearbox. So hang loose here a minute and we'll get to it. Okay, so I removed the water bottle, and there's your set screw. Just back that nut off on the outside of a 77 Ford F350. That is a 5/8 nut. And then I just turned it in, it turned to be about a 3/4 of a turn, to where I felt a little resistance on it starting to touch the worm gear inside of there. And then I just backed it out just a touch and then tightened the nut. And yeah, it's improved a little bit. It wasn't that far off. wasn't that big of a deal. The problem with this particular vehicle was the rag joint was bad in it, and even at that, the plate wasn't all that bad. But anyway, I'm getting ready. My kids are giving me a Father's Day surprise, so we'll see what that is. It has something to do with this, I know that. Alrighty, well, there you go. I think that's the end of this episode. Replacing the rag joint on a 77 Ford F350. Alright, well, I thank you for watching. If you like these episodes, please like and subscribe. And we'll see if we can get some more out to you. The old 77 Ford F350, it's turning out pretty good. It's drivable now, legally even, as far as safety goes. I think we got everything mostly covered, so just a few more cosmetic issues that we're going to deal with, and it's going to be a wrap on this truck, I'm pretty sure. Alrighty, thank you. Hey guys, so for Father's Day, my kids got me this wonderful present here. Pretty cool. Ford Center. Anywho, I like it, and I think it'll look a lot better than that does right there. It is a little bit smaller, but fortunately we just did a rag joint, and so I think it'll be comfortable. But I have an issue here. These turn signals do not return. They work, but they don't return after you've turned. And then if you get going on heavy bumps, of course, that goes down there and you got a left blinker on all the time. So we are going to rectify that. And then also this part of the shaft here seems to be loose, needs to be tightened up. So we're going to take care of that stuff while we're in there. If you want to hang loose, we'll see how that goes. Alright, first thing we're going to do, I guess, is get number 2 Phillips. A couple of Phillips screws back here that I can't see. Oh golly gee. What are we going to do about tape? Shoot. I sure hope this works so I don't have to do this again. So I don't have any of this kind of tape to put this together. This stuff worked out pretty good wherever it was, wherever they got it. I liked it. I don't like that stuff. Yuck. Well, here's my business. Get that out of there. Sad part is I don't know if the horn even works. So you got a ground clip, goes through one of the holes, and then this is your current line. Part's still actually pretty good, just the cover's weird. I guess. And thing's 15/16, and I don't have it. I don't know why. But we're lucky, got it with a 1-inch. Yeah, looks like we got I want to get the steering wheel centered. I think that ain't very center. Really? Alright, steering wheel's not exactly centered, but it never has been. It's always rode right about there. And then I'm going to put a 12 o'clock mark right on that. Alright. It's like a 1/4-inch fine thread, but well, we're going to try to make do with what we got, I guess. God bless America. It's freaking the same. I used to have all the bolts and everything it took to do this job, but unfortunately I borrowed this tool that I used to have to someone, and unfortunately it never come back. So I'm borrowing this tool from someone else, and it's not in very good shape at all. So I guess the moral to the story is, don't borrow your tools. I know that's pretty hard to not do sometimes. That that's going to fit in there. Will that? The answer is no. Shit. Guys, I'm going to cut you off for a minute until I get figured out what I'm going to have happening here. Okay, let's try this again. I had to go in town and get me a new harmonic balancer puller. Jeez, Peasel. And I'm thinking probably I got these fine threads here, and I'm kind of thinking that's what it is, but yeah, that's certainly what it is. Alright, go Harbor Freight. Yep. You know, I've done this before years and years and years ago. It's not all that complicated, but sure is going to be a pain in the butt today. Not a lot of room in there to get those in. Shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Well, I guess we're going to have to improvise, I guess. God, that's just stupid. They got that spread so tight. Harmonic balancer don't have enough squeeze in the middle of it to get it off. Not a regular steering puller, but I know in the future I'll be using this, and yeah, whatever. So not my first choice here. All right. Okay, this is what I'm talking about, and I knew it was the problem because it never returned, but as you can see, I saw parts up inside of there. So there's some kits where you can go through and just replace this part, but my problem with that is you have to tag into the wires, and I did that a long time ago, years ago, and it didn't come out very good because the bulkiness of where you tag the wires in, or where I did anyway, didn't work out so good. Imagine if it was heat shrinked and soldered, that'd probably make a little bit of a difference, but you know, this stuff's old and I would prefer to replace it anyway, so that's what we're going to do. And I do need to go a little deeper and tighten this column up, so that's where we're at. Stay tuned. Okay, so I got the mechanism unbolted, and you have to pull on the wires. The best to get down here deep. You can pull them up a little bit. You're never going to get those wires through here, so what you need to do is, there's a little clip right here. I believe we're going to have to take that off and just loosen these two nuts right here. Those are on a eccentric type crow's foot, and you should be able to push those away and then get that mechanism out of there. That way we'll have it all dangling, and we can retighten everything when we're done. And that's what's loose, by the way, is those. And I believe, oh, actually it's this screw right here. Interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, there you go. I'll get some more info in a minute. Well, how nice. So those two screws hold this back collar on a standard transmission. And so therefore I can get through that hole and through here without having to take this off, and that's a good thing. Very good. Okay, so hopefully this is going to work. I got the switch put through here, and now we're going to put it down this hole. I did some people think this is like a guide shaft or something. It's not going to guide anything. I believe it's more of a protective surface from the edge down here on the bottom. But anyway, we may reinstall it when we get it down there, but I need to get this through the column first. I can't do it one-handed, and I can't hold this to where you can see, so I'll let you know how it turns out. Well, it turned out very, very nicely. So now we're in both parts. I do have it coming out, and it's pretty free. So now I'm going to put this rubber tube back on there and shove it in partly so it preserves that edge. And we'll get her back together. I'll get the pins, so I'll get back. Okay, I got the collar on there. It's tight. I think at this point it's probably be best after you get this on and all your harness wedged or fed through. That's probably best to go ahead and put these bolts, these support bolts in. And the reason for that is this can move in and out on this shaft, and you want to make sure that this bearing here is seated. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so rather than go through a pin out, so if I undid these right here, and then you can pull that through, but I would rather cut these off so that I can leave the collars on this, because then that way, as long as we're collar coded, and I checked and we are, then I can go ahead and put the proper collar and the proper pin one at a time. I'll save myself some grief, I believe, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, there you go. Switch is installed, except for the wiring. Now, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and put this on in the process of installing it, so that you can access these screws a little bit easier. This one's not a lot of fun. Thin blade screwdriver. You just hold your finger on it as you go in. It'll go. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to do is connect this harness onto here. And when you do that, we pull this black clip, or excuse me, this red clip out, and then that should give us movement on the connectors. And hopefully, if I won't lose anything, I'll be able to go in there and change those one at a time and get them in the right hole. Okay, so mission accomplished there. Got the wires in the connector. Basically, this red clip right here just comes you slide it out of that, and in order to access the clip, you can get a little small screwdriver up this side right here and kind of get it started. And there is one higher tab right there, and that one actually kind of holds it in, so you got to pull that tab back just a hair and then push that up. There's also a tab on the red clip that sits inside of that groove. So anyway, I believe I got it right. I did have a couple interruptions while I was doing it, but like I say, one at a time. It wasn't too big of a deal. It's best once you get these going to maybe twist it just a little back and forth in different positions, because where this high and low spot is, you can see it's not even here, and it goes down. To me, that always seemed to be best to position towards the center, and that helped it go through a lot easier. Anyway, so I'm going to get this red clip in. We'll get the wire harness on, and I guess that's pretty much the end of this this segment. We'll go from there. Thanks for watching. The next day. Okay, so looks like I'm getting ready to do the steering wheel assembly on this. The hub assembly for the steering wheel is this Grant. Shows some instructions here, and I need to pay particular attention to this turn signal cam. There is one of those clipped on the back of the steering wheel, but I guess there's some roll pin options as well. So we got this baby open. Comes with these parts here, except the spring and some retaining bolts. This is your horn. And this is your hub assembly. This activates the current through to the horn, and of course this mounts to the truck. I'm sure there's a specific location for this, and in fact in most cases in my world I think it's like that. So we need to make sure we get that in there correctly. And once again, unfortunately, I'm not set up for you to be able to watch. Yeah, anyway, yeah, I'll keep you posted. Okay, so I got the roll pins installed there. They're not that easy to get in. You got to be real gentle and tap them in straight. And then when that sits in the center of this camshaft area right here and here, those two, and that should be top dead center for the steering wheel. Like so. And let's just double check our holes. And yeah, we're off to the left just a little bit. Okay, so now I am going to apply an ever so light amount of grease on the back of this thing. And I hate to get it all over the place. I'll tell you what, not my first choice here. Alright, I'm gonna have to put you down, sorry. Okay, so next is this cap over the top. Put this wire through the center there. Or not through the center, through the locating hole for the horn. And then looks like the steering wheel's next, and then the retaining nut, and then the horn mechanism, of course the bolts. Alrighty, let's get her done. Okay, so I've put the 3 shoulder bolts in here first. I will be taking these back out again in order to install this, but I would just want it to be centered up so that I can get this center nut reinstalled, and then once I have that, then I can take these out and install the horn assembly. Okay, got the nuts in first, then I tightened down this nut, so hopefully I'll be able to retrieve these and put the horn assembly in there. But one thing I did notice is while I was working on this, these edges are extremely sharp. Looks like they machined them and they didn't, at least on this side, narrow the edges down, and I'll tell you what, you don't want to get your fingers caught in there. So I'm going to run some sandpaper across some of these rough spots just to keep my fingers safe, and then I'll install the horn button. Alright, so we've got the bolts in, they're tight. Next is going to be this horn button, and of course there's a spring sets on here, and that pushes the button away from this. I believe these notches right here are set tabs with the button, so you probably line up the notches and then slightly turn it. I sure hope that Ford emblem comes up right side up. Huh. Turn it backwards. Anyway, we will see. One thing, you don't want to wake up your neighbor, so it's a good idea to disconnect the battery or disconnect your horn relay. I chose the horn relay. It was a lot easier for me. Okay, I'm going to get this button on and we'll get back. Okay, there's one thing I noticed is the spring has a smaller end and a larger end. It isn't sure which way to go with it, but it looks to me where it's a lot easier to put the smaller end on here, because it'd just be a lot easier to make the spring work and keep that pushing back and not hang up on itself, it looks like. So that's the way I'm going on it. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Sweet steering wheel, isn't it? I like it. Hopefully that's going to work well for us. There was some sharp edges there. We kind of shaved those off a little bit, and feels pretty good now. Play in there is wonderful. Horn, yeah, all that works. So, gosh, I can't think of anything else that doesn't work on this truck. I think pretty much that's the end of it as far as safety features, lights, and all those sorts of things go. I am waiting for a windshield washer knob. Dude, it's like a really good deal. Cost me like $23. And the plastic knob, I think that's pretty steep. You know, especially you can buy some of those in the helpline for like 10, but not for this truck, of course. I really appreciate y'all watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would like to give a special thanks to my kids, Michael and Millenny, for purchasing this steering wheel for me for Father's Day. It was real sweet of them, and I really appreciate it. I'm on a low budget, and so this truck is getting done with either donations or what we can afford to get. But so far she's turned out pretty good. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I really could use some subscribers. Thanks. We'll see ya.